So I'm gonna go through the steps for harvesting honey on kind of a small scale. Here I have my frames that I took off of the supers, and I wanna just show varying degrees of honey fill. So this one, for instance, you can see that the bottom half of this is not quite capped. So this is all capped. This is all capped and this is uncapped. So this is a little bit more than 50%. And then if we look at the other side, about the same. So we want about 80% of the frame to be capped for us to harvest. Otherwise the moisture content is not correct. And then we can actually get fermentation of our honey. Versus if we look at this one, you can see that this is all capped. And if I flip it over, this is all capped. So this is about 100% capped, and this is ready to harvest, versus that other one is probably just on the cusp of not being ready to harvest. Now that's okay, because the bees will probably fill it up later on and I'll just check back with them. But again, this one's about 100% and that one has about 10%. So this one would be okay to harvest as well. So just important to take a look at your frames before you get started. So we'll start with these two, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna take my heat gun, and with my heat gun, what I'm gonna do is just gently, in a circular motion, just warm up the cappings, and you can start to see them uncap if you wanna zoom in.
I'm already doing.
Oh, perfect. You can see that it's uncapping, and you don't wanna just get a bunch of wax melted, because the bees have to create that wax again, and the wax will end up in your honey. So you want to just, in a gentle motion, just kind of keep going in a circular pattern until everything is uncapped, like that. Then I flip it over and do the other side. So I'm just going to go in a circular motion, uncapping. And you can see this honey is pretty dark. This is late season honey, so it's going to be a little bit more orangish color than early season honey. And then if you've got a couple of areas, like you can see that the cappings are kind of coming over like that, I can kind of go in and just kind of touch those areas and kind of open up those cappings. That'll just make it so that my whole extraction, I get all those cells extracted out, and that honey is not trapped behind that capping. Some people will just use this uncapping fork, but I like to use the heat gun too. What I'm gonna do next is put this into our extractor. So this is a 2-frame extractor. And I'm gonna kind of put it in and put it to the side like that. So the part that's gonna be extracted is the part of the frame that's sticking outward. That'll get extracted first, and then I'll have to flip it over and do the other side to extract the other side. So I'm gonna go ahead and get another frame, because you have to have 2 frames to make sure that it's balanced. Otherwise your extractor will jump all over the place. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing here. And then after I'm done between frames, I always like to cover this up. You can also cover while you're extracting, but I find mine gets sucked in with the centrifugal force. But it's always a good idea to keep your lid covered so that you don't get any debris falling in while the honey's extracting. Great, thank you. Frames in here, they're kind of cocked to the side. So I've got one kind of oriented, the bottom of it is oriented that way, and the top of it's oriented towards me. Bottom of it over oriented the other way, and the top of it oriented that way, so that they've got kind of equal distribution. I like to use an impact drill, but sometimes it gets too hot and I gotta use it. But I'm gonna start off really slow and then increasing the speed. Just kind of spin down, and you'll see the honey is accumulating on the sides of the drum. And it's best to harvest honey on a really hot day, because you basically need that honey to kind of like get warm enough that it slides down to the bottom of your container. You'll see I have gloves on as well, always remembering we're dealing with a food product, so I don't want to get my hands and dirtiness in there. So this is what it looks like after it's extracted. You can see all those cells are empty, versus the other side that hasn't been extracted. You can see all that honey. So I'm gonna go ahead and just flip it around. And then I'm gonna come over here, grab the other one, turn it so that the honey side is out, and then go ahead and pop it over. And then I'm gonna extract this side. This extractor's not jumping all over the place. That indicates I can spin it a lot faster. You want to be careful not to spin too fast because you can actually get the frame to kind of come out of the super. So you can get this foundation will actually like pop out. But now you can see that I have both sides extracted really nicely, and the comb isn't very damaged, so these bees can just basically clean this out and start putting more nectar in. So I make their job a lot easier. Anytime you damage the comb, then you make their job a little bit harder for them. So see how this got a little damaged on this side because of the metal? If you extract really, really fast, you'll end up damaging the comb, and then the bees have to rebuild all of that again. All right, and then once I'm done extracting, it's really important to get all of the wax that's kind of along the bars here off so that it doesn't make it difficult for these frames to come out. I also like to take the wax off of here and then the wax off of the bottom, because this will all stick to frames below it and make it hard for you to get your super frames out. So it's just an opportunity to kind of do some hive cleaning while you've got your frames out of the hive. So again, I'm going to flip it over to the bottom and get all this burr comb off so that I don't get those stuck on the bottom. And then I always save all my wax. I just put it in a wax jar here, and eventually you can melt that down and have your own beeswax that you can use to make other stuff. So this is a double sieve. There's a top sieve that kind of catches all the rough debris, so any wax, or heaven forbid you get a bee in there, it'll catch that. And then the finer sieve is on the bottom to catch really any leftover particulate matter, so it's double sieved. And so then when the honey collects in the bucket below, it's very, very clean and clear, so that there's no debris inside the honey after collection.